Welcome to the Weekly Lead Podcast. I'm Becky Tirabassi, co-pastor of Viewpoint Church in Newport Beach, California. And this podcast is designed to reach people who have known me over the past few decades. I am looking for leaders, weekly leaders, and each week I bring a message from a sermon that will encourage you to lead by being loyal to God's Word, encouraging to others, advocates for the young generation, and devoted to prayer. Here we go. Join me now. But for those of you who know me well, and you've read my books on prayer or have attended the extraordinary prayer meeting, you know I'm absolutely convinced that the third trait, and honestly, it's not the least of three, it's possibly the greatest, the third trait of a godly leader who would be a mother or a father, a sibling, a coach, a relative, a teacher, or a pastor is prayer. The kind of prayer, though, that would turn a nation back to God. In 1 Samuel, Old Testament book, that immediately follows the book of Ruth, we enter the story of another desperate woman. So when you think and have heard, there's not much about women in the Bible, women are everywhere. And they're powerful. They're powerful. Why are only women in the back row doing this? But she was tormented by her infertility. And it is a tormenting feeling. And for us to be on Mother's Day talking about this, I want to embrace the greater community here in praying for the young generation. You are meant to do this. I am meant to do this. When somebody not much younger than me said, Becky, you're a mother to all of us, I did not take offense, though I could have. But the name Rebecca, if you've read in Genesis, her brothers, when Abraham's servant comes to take her away or find a wife for Isaac, her brothers are like, all right, you can go, Rebecca, but may you go as a mother of millions. I see that as a call on my life, that this mother should leave a legacy. It should start with loyalty, just hesed, where you are mine. I said this to the students in my life, you're mine. You will always be mine, whether you do knucklehead stuff or not. I will track you down. Hannah was made to feel inferior because she couldn't have a child. And even her husband, Elkanah, couldn't quite get it. Why are you crying, Hannah? She's come to the temple where they go every year. Why aren't you eating? Why are you downhearted? You have me. Isn't that better than 10 sons? She's like, oy. It doesn't say that, but I'm sure it's there. But after a sacrificial meal, Hannah got up and went to pray. I have a lot of friends in my life. I've been in ministry a long time. There is a certain zone. There is a certain track of prayer, if you're called to prayer. And sometimes it's lonely, and sometimes it's, but it never leaves you. Eli the priest, and you're going to read more about him later, and it's kind of back to a bad story. But he's sitting in his customary place, and Hannah starts to pray, and she cries out, O Lord of heaven's armies, she makes this vow, if you will look upon my sorrow and answer my prayer and give me a son, then I will give him back to you. You see, Hannah went big. I don't want a son for me to possess and hold and make me fruit in the fruit field. I want him to be yours for his entire lifetime. As she was praying, Eli the priest sees her lips moving, but hearing no sound, he thinks she's been drinking and says, throw away your wine. She says, Sir, I haven't been drinking. I'm very discouraged. And I was pouring out my heart to the Lord. So don't think I'm a wicked woman, for I'm praying in great anguish and sorrow. Oh, Eli says, then go in peace. And may you get the request you've asked of God. Thank you, sir. Scripture tells us the Lord granted her request. She bore a son and named him Samuel, which means I asked the Lord for him. True to her promise to God and the priest Eli, she returned to the temple with the child when he was old enough. And yearly she brought him a little jacket. Who would do that? Who would do that? Is he 5? Is he 8? Whatever it is, you don't go, here you go. Here you go, the one I just wanted so bad. Here you go, God. I'm going to take him to the temple. He'll serve the priest his whole life long. I got to tell you something about mothers. They tell their kids, there's a call on your life. They do. They tell their kids, you're special. You're loved. God has a plan for your life. And if they don't tell them, then they run into me and I tell them. Am I right on that? They should run into you, and you should tell them. Hannah, though, was resolved. I dig this about Hannah. She was resolved to leave a legacy with her life. Her loyalty to God was fierce. You see it in the prayer. No priest is going to tell me I'm a drunk, and no husband's going to tell me it doesn't hurt not to have a baby. I'm going to talk to God. I'm going in. I'm going in with passion. I'm going in. Why? To have a child that might change the nation. What? The nation was full of judges and lousy priests. She was a woman who saw the whole thing going on. And you're going to know this, that I'm not making this up, by chapter 2. Her virtue, Hannah's virtue, was known by all, and her commitment to the Lord in prayer, both public and private, led her to give her beloved son, Samuel, in lifelong service to the Lord. And he would turn a nation back to God. Now, the first prayer she prays in 1 Samuel, and you're going to see what they call echoes of Mary and Jesus. I kid you not. Her passion, her foresight, her groaning and gratitude in prayer left an unbelievable impression on her son. You pray in front of your child when they're little, and what? They're going to pray like you pray. You pray in front of adults for any length of time. They're going to pray like you pray if you have that same passion. So in the first few chapters of Samuel, you read this description of Hannah's prayer, which is a statement of her ongoing relationship to God and this deep commitment to ask God to allow her to be a part of bringing a nation back to Him. Little did she know that her prayer would be the end of Judges. It would change the end of the history of Judges to the beginning of the monarchy, the fulfillment of a king that was promised the nation. Hannah's leadership traits of loyalty, virtue, and most especially her prayers would have an integral part in turning a nation back to God. One of my friends, Dr. David Thomas from Kentucky, earned his PhD with a thesis in travailing prayer. It's a depth of prayer that undergirded revivals and awakenings. Are you with me now? Do you know? You know how I love to study revival? It's that season in a nation that when the whole nation turns back to God in a fresh obedience to His word. And history tells us that every revival and awakening can be attributed to the endless, persistent prayers of humble men and women who will do the prevailing prayer, the travailing prayer, the agonizing, desperate, tearful, urgent, audacious praying for the lost, the broken, the young, the stubborn, the prideful, and the least. That's what we do at Extraordinary Prayer Meeting. I didn't really know that till I read that definition this week in the PhD's offering. We're doing travailing prayer on a Sunday night at the Extraordinary Prayer Meeting, and then we go out for pizza and yogurt. But relentlessly travailing prayers will meet to pray for the wave of the Holy Spirit to wash over them and their nation, asking God to renew and revive them. Can you see where I'm going here? Hannah was overcome, Scripture says, with such desperation that her prayers were misunderstood as intoxication. Have you ever prayed like that? Have you ever fallen to your knees? Have you ever cried so hard? Have you ever called out to God? Anybody? In prayer, she made this agonizing, tearful vow to God that included a personal sacrifice. She vowed to willingly give her child back to God. Don't you think Mary was in that place? And she followed through with her vow. She brought her little boy to the temple to assist Eli the priest. If you read 1 Samuel today and yesterday and tomorrow, he and his sons were like utterly despicable. She brings her little boy there. And even before her son could hear God's voice call him out clearly, she would pen a prayer that would be read for centuries. I did this. I two-columned her prayer next to Mary's Magnificat, which made me think Mary had heard this prayer. Hannah writes, "My heart rejoices in the Lord." Mary writes, "Oh, how my soul praises the Lord. The Lord has made me strong. I have answers to my enemies," said Hannah. Mary says, "He took notice of a lowly servant girl, and from now on, all generations will call me blessed." Hannah writes, "No one is holy like the Lord." Mary writes, "For the mighty one is holy." Hannah writes, "And do you think she knows what's going on with Eli, Phineas, and the other guy?" Hannah writes, "Stop acting so proud and haughty." Mary writes, "He has scattered the proud and haughty ones." Hannah writes, "For the Lord is God, who knows what you have done." This is 1 Samuel chapter 2. And what follows? A man comes to Eli the priest and says, "I know what your sons are doing. They are seducing women at the gate, and they are eating sacrifices meant only for the Lord. Because of it, you're going down." Eli doesn't do anything about it. But little Samuel, 5, 6, 7, 8, I have no idea how old Samuel is. 3 times it says he is sleeping. This is where his little room is, by the Ark of the Covenant. Meaning, if you look at the meaning of this, here's a little boy close to the Lord, as close as you can get. And he hears his name called, not once, not twice, not 3 times. And on the 3rd time, when he runs into Samuel, like, "Are you calling me?" "No, I'm not. Go back." "No, I'm not. Go back." The 4th time, Samuel says to him, if you hear his voice again, say, "Speak, Lord. I'm listening." There's a wonderful Psalm 27 that says, "Speak, Lord. I'm listening." You see, I think Hannah taught her son. Yes, not how to pray. Yes, how to pray, but how to be ready when God speaks to you. And that little boy was told, "I'm taking out Eli, Phineas, and the other guy. And they're going to die on the same day, those 2 boys." Can you imagine being 5, 6, 7, or 8 and going, "Okay, I got the download. Not giving that up." Eli's not dumb. He takes Samuel aside in the morning. "Did the Lord come to you?" "Yeah." "Did he say anything to you?" And this little boy has to make a decision. And it says in 1 Samuel chapter 2, "I told him everything the Lord told me to tell him." Oh my gosh. Loyalty, virtue, prayer. It happens just as he said it would. Phineas and his brother are dead in a day, and Eli dies as well. Samuel, as we know, becomes the prophet who would identify the first king of Israel, Saul. And after watching him implode, he's told, you go to Jesse's house. Do you remember in Ruth? Who is the grandfather of Jesse? Obed. Who's Obed? Ruth's son. And who is the son of Jesse? David. And Samuel will anoint David to be the king of Israel. You don't want to miss reading the Bible. Not only in chapter 2 will you read that in the Word of God, this messenger who came to Eli said, they wouldn't listen. Your sons, they won't listen. In the Gospel of John today, Jesus looks around and he says, I'm telling you, and you're not listening, who I am. And you will be dead when you will hear my voice again. That's what John is a reverberating book. It's not like Luke, good stories. It's like, boom, Jesus is speaking. Will you listen? So, one other little unbelievable tidbit here in 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 26. It says, meanwhile, the boy Samuel grew taller, and he grew in favor with the Lord and people. Do you remember when Roger preached on Luke 2:52? What does it say? Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and all the people. Come on. I believe, the legacy of a godly leader, whether you are a mom, a dad, a pastor, a teacher, a coach, a boss, a grandparent, a sibling, or a relative, it's not a secret. We observe in the lives of Ruth and Hannah that godly leaders must exhibit at least 3 traits. They are loyalty that God will reward. You got to, for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. Virtue that is powerful enough to change the culture. And believe me, you have a culture. You have a sphere of influence around you. You. Every one of us do. Every single one of us. And thirdly, prayer. Sometimes it's gut-wrenching. Sometimes it's persevering. Sometimes it's time-consuming. But very bold and brave prayers will turn a nation back to God. I hope you've been encouraged by this message, and I hope you join me every week for the Weekly Lead podcast. Meanwhile, you can follow me daily on Instagram at Becky Tirabassi and find the link in the bio with everything you need to become a weekly leader.